You are now locked in to Take a Knee Sports Podcast.
Imagine Saturday mornings at the barbershop. The conversations that are had probably would leave memories in your head for the rest of your life. Here on Take a Knee Sports Podcast, I have a candid, open, barbershop style discussion. Just, discussing current and past events in the sports world of football, boxing, and basketball, sports that I love. Mostly facts. Some facts, I would say, a lot of opinion, but always keeping it real. On this week's episode of Taking These Sports Podcast, I'll talk about my NBA Mount Rushmore, who's on it and why. Tune in because it's going to be a good one. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome. And of course, welcome. Welcome to another episode of Taking These Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Phil. We're back once again. New week, new topic. This week, I want to discuss my NBA Mount Rushmore. Now, let me preface this episode by first saying that it's my NBA Mount Rushmore, okay? So some people are going to agree, some people are going to disagree. But the people that I put in this Mount Rushmore, I feel like I've seen these people dominate with my own two eyes. Now, they're probably, like I said, there's going to be some disagreement because you have your older crowd, you have your young crowd, you have those who have seen other people with their own two eyes that they believe are what we consider GOATs, greatest of all times, right? Like, these guys are pillars to the game, and you feel like it could be anybody. It's a lot of people out there, for sure. I narrowed it down to 4. I definitely have some honorable mentions where I feel like, yeah, you can probably make that argument. But once again, this is my personal opinion. So, don't take offense. I definitely want to hear back. So after this podcast, hit me up on Twitter. I'm on Taking These Sports Podcast on Twitter. That's my name there. Also, of course, you can find me on IG, Taking These Sports Podcast, same name. Hit me up in the comments. Of course, I'm going to have posts there. I want to hear from you guys. So I want to see what you guys have in your Mount Rushmore, right? I want to see if we agree. I want to see who people would think. Like, you can throw a bunch of names out there, and it's a big basket of players that can definitely be in anybody's top 4. Basically, that's what the Mount Rushmore is. It's the top 4 players that you think that you've seen in your lifetime what will be, the greatest of all time. Now, I didn't put these names into any specific order. It's not like, oh, he's number 4, he's number 3. I just, grabbed 4 guys that I think that, just some of the best, man. I'm going to just jump right into it with my first person, and that is the Diesel himself, Shaquille O'Neal, right? Drafted in 92, first overall, 2016 inductee into the Hall of Fame, 8th in all-time scoring, right? He's number 8 as a center, not even shooting threes. Career average, 23.7 points, almost 11 rebounds, 10.9, 2.5 assists a game, averaged over 58% field goal percentage. So damn near 60% of his shots went in. That's crazy. Like, not a lot of people finish with over 50%. And then free throws, we all know he was pretty horrible at 52%. Other accolades, right? So he's a 4-time NBA champ, had the 3-peat in LA from 2000 to 02, and then had the one with the Flash, my man D Wade, in 06. He's a 3-time NBA Finals MVP. He's the 2000 NBA MVP, 15-time All-Star, 3-time NBA All-Star Game MVP, 8-time All-NBA First Team, 2-time All-NBA Second Team, 4-time All-NBA Third Team, 3-time All-Defensive Second Team. He was the 1993 Rookie of the Year, 1993 Rookie All-NBA First Team, 2-time scoring champ, and he was also named to the NBA 50th Anniversary Team, right? And then in USA Basketball, he was a 96 gold medalist, then also with the World Cup in 94, he was the World Cup MVP, and he got the FIBA the FIBA World Cup and the USA Basketball Male Athlete of the Year in 94. With this guy, Shaq, New Jersey's own, you feel me? He's got a soft spot in my heart because of the fact he's from New Jersey, but also I think that Shaq dominated, right? Like he was one of those players where you couldn't stop him. Like that's why he's called the Diesel. It's a tractor trailer that you can't stop, bro. Like there was no... Once he got in the post, gave you a little bit of power, spin off of you, and he gonna slam it in your face, and he gonna talk a little shit afterward because he from Newark, baby. You know what I'm saying? So he got that little Jersey fire in him. You feel me? But there was no stopping Shaq, man. Especially in the early 2000s, before he had a couple of the little injuries that, you know, little Knicks feet problems here and there. He was unstoppable. Orlando Magic, you couldn't stop him. You know what I mean? It took him and Penny Hardaway, and that was probably the first duo of him and Kobe. Before him and Kobe, if Penny Hardaway and him didn't have the egos when they were young, I'm sure they could have possibly won a championship in Orlando. On top of that, other than the egos getting in the way, also Penny staying healthy later on in the career, that would have been interesting to see. But it never played out, right? He ended up getting traded to the LA Lakers, which, you know, he teamed up with Kobe and they won the three-peat. They won it back-to-back from 2000 to 2002. So it just shows you that it was destined to happen. It was destined for him to win a championship. It just depended on who was going to be the Robin to Batman here, right? Well, Superman in this case, because that's one of his nicknames as well. But I just feel like you couldn't, even though he wasn't a three-point shooter and it may have been a little bit rougher of a game, it's not now. They spread the ball out. You want your big man to actually be able to step outside the three-point range, and it's a little bit faster at pace. This was the perfect timing for Shaq to be in the league, was those 90s and early 2000s. But I do feel like his game would have translated to today's game. Now, it would have took a little of adjustment because he may have needed to move out of the paint just a little bit more to be able to defend, right? And also to I guess, elaborate on his game to encompass a jump shot. But it also would have been similar to how Joel Embiid is now, right? Joel Embiid can shoot the three, but he's mainly a post player. And when Joel Embiid gets in the paint, he's damn near unstoppable. And that's why you'll see him scoring 60 points, 50 points. It's like, if he really does what he's supposed to do, instead of trying to shoot 3-pointers and jump shots and stuff like that, when he puts his back to the basket, he can be unstoppable, bro. And that's how Shaq was. In the early 2000s, it was Diesel all day. And I've always been a fan of Shaq. And I think you definitely got to at least throw him in the top four. Now, some people may argue that you have your Wilt Chamberlains, you have your Bill Russells, you have your Kareem Abdul-Jabbars. But it's like they were also in a time, especially Wilt, you were 7 foot. Nobody else in the league was 7 foot, bro. Like, you scored 100 points on, some I don't know, man. I like Wilt Chamberlain too. Like, I'm not going like disrespect him too much, but when people throw that argument out there, I'm just like, Wilt Chamberlain played where everybody else was like 6'1", 6'2". Like, it wasn't any other Giants in the league. And you should score 100 points. Like, you're a 7-footer, and who's gonna fucking D you? Like, that's another argument for another day. But yes, I do love Wilt Chamberlain. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, he's a great player, right? And nobody else will probably ever score 100 points ever again. And that's also alleged as well. We don't have any footage of that. Like, so, we got a picture of him showing 100 points, but who really knows, right? Hey, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Well, I slightly am. I lied a little bit. I am slightly a conspiracy theorist, just a little bit. But I think that it was possible for him to score 100 points, especially back then, for sure. But that's neither here nor there. Shaquille O'Neal, first guy on the list, right? Second guy on my list is somebody who's still playing right now. And this is one of the toughest conversations that people can have about this guy, especially in the GOAT conversation and being layered up there, right? And it's the one and only, the king himself, LeBron. I call him LeBron James. You know, he was drafted in 2003 to his hometown of Cleveland, Ohio, right? Played in the league, went Shaq there. So he has the resume. He came into the league when it wasn't what it is now, right? Like a lot of people think that the league is going soft. People don't foul as hard anymore. You can't hand check. Defenses are a little bit different. So he came into the league when this stuff was still going on. And when you still had the Detroits and, you know, people were getting physical out there. You feel me? Especially in the East Coast, baby. Like, people were playing basketball. You feel me? But LeBron, he's career averaging 27 points a game, 7.5 rebounds, 7.5 assists, 50%, almost 51% from field goal, and free throws. I thought he was better in free throws a little bit than this, but right now he's averaging about 73%. And depending on how many more years he plays, which he probably has, I would say maybe 2-3 years left in the tank, that he'll have meaningful basketball. He probably could play longer than that, but meaningful basketball, I think LeBron's probably got about like 2 years left in him, 2 to 3 years. And he's at 73% right now, so it probably won't go any higher than maybe 75 max percent free throws, which is kind of crazy. I thought that he would be closer to 80, but hey, 73, I guess that's okay. You're making 3 out of 4. Of course, his accolades, he's a 4-time NBA champ in 2012, 2013, 2016, and 2020, and with the bubble. He's a 4-time final MVP. He's a 4-time NBA MVP, right? 2009, 2010, 2012, and 13. He's a 20-time All-Star, right? I think that's a record for sure. 20-time All-Star from 2005 all the way until the present day in 24. 3-time NBA All-Star Game MVP, 19-time All-NBA selection. That's 13-time first team, 3-time second team, and then a 3-time third team. 5-time All-NBA first team defensive selection, and then a 1-time second team selection. So he got 6 NBA All-Defensive selections altogether. He was the NBA Rookie of the Year in 2004. All-Rookie Team 2004, NBA scoring leader in 2008, NBA assist leader in 2020. So his game is only evolved, which I'll talk about here in a second. He's a 3-time minutes leader in 2007, 17, and 18. He's a member of the 75th anniversary team. You know, he was the NBA Cup winner and MVP in 2023. He, too, played in the USA basketball, being a 2-time gold medalist in 2008 and 2012. He got the bronze medalist. He was a bronze medalist in 2004, 2006 FIBA World Champ, 2007 FIBA America's Champ, and then in 2012, he was the USA Basketball Male Athlete of the Year. So, with anybody else that's on this list that I named after LeBron, right, he's going to be the most controversial because a lot of people feel like he's not better. He's not better than 2 other guys, right? And it's like you can compare them, but you can't compare them. I think that LeBron is just a different creature, right? First of all, he's a small forward by position. He's not a shooting guard. He's not a point guard. He's a small forward, but he plays point guard because of the fact that he's a playmaker, right? He's somebody that likes to get his team involved instead of being a ball hog and taking 100 shots a game. But this is the kicker. A lot of people feel like he's not that guy because they feel like he doesn't have the killer instinct. And I had this argument with this civil discourse, I should say, with one of my frat brothers not too long ago, and he said that LeBron didn't have the killer instinct. And I'm like, does LeBron not have I'm like, that's some BS, bro. Like, he's got the killer instinct, my boy. And you can't say that he doesn't because he's been in series, right? Number one, when he was in Cleveland the first time. In Cleveland, gets drafted. It's LeBron against the world. It's LeBron and the Cleveland Cavaliers, right? There's nobody else on his team. He took them to the NBA Finals by himself. By himself, bro. Like, so you telling me that he doesn't have a killer instinct right? But he took the Cleveland Cavaliers. We're talking about Cleveland here, right? Like, I just like talking about the Cleveland Browns. Like, we're talking about Cleveland, bruh. Practice. We're talking about practice. Yes, we're talking about Cleveland Browns, bruh. Excuse me. Cleveland Cavaliers. It's all one and the same when you talk about it. Like the Cleveland Cavaliers. He had Zeldrunas Ilgauskas, Boobie Miles. Like nobody's. Like these are role players that are literally role players. If you take them off of that team, you won't even know their name. If they didn't play with LeBron, you wouldn't even know their name, bro. Like I only know those 2 days because they played with LeBron. And he took them to the finals, beating teams like the Pistons, who at the time had one of the best teams in the East, bro. Like they had Chauncey Billups, Tayshaun Prince, Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace. Like they had a squad. They were winning championships. They were dominating the East, bro. And he was able to surpass them and get to the NBA Finals, bro. Also, a Boston team that even KG and Paul Pierce admitted on their podcast, on their YouTube podcast, that like after a certain couple of years, and Doc Rivers also said this too, because I think he was talking to them on their podcast, and they said like it was just like a light bulb. It was a switch that just turned on them. And if you go and look back at, it's a YouTube on LeBron's game, I want to say it was game 6 of a series back in like 2008, if I'm not mistaken, where LeBron probably had the greatest performance in playoff history ever. And he snapped on Boston for like 40. And this was at the time where people were saying that LeBron couldn't shoot threes. He didn't have a jumper like that. He was only downhill. That's all he can do. Like the man snapped and had like 8 threes in the game. He was just unstoppable. And at that moment, Hall of Famers like Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce were like, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got Hall of Famers saying that we're in trouble. Your ass is in trouble. That means he got the killer instinct, bro. When you get in respect from Kevin Garnett, who is a hard guy to get respect from, and he said that on his podcast, like he just don't give out the respect like that. It just don't come like that. He not built like that. You feel me? So when you start getting respect from guys like that, from veterans, you that guy, man. And people don't give him the respect, especially when it comes to the points. But it's like, bruh, 40,000 points. The man has 40,036 points over a span of 20 years. Number one, he came straight out of high school. Like, you don't come straight out of high. There's not too many people built to come straight. That's why they made the rule. They changed it to where like you got to do one and done. Like you got to at least go to college or be out of high school at least 1 year before you can come to the league. Like, there's no children in this league. So like it's difficult to make that transition. Number one, mentally you're not able to, and physically your body may not be able to do that. But he came straight from high school. Like no college, no overseas basketball. He came straight from high school gym, straight into the NBA with grown men at 18 years old, 17, 18 years old, doing his damn thing. And it has done that consistently for 20 years now. Like, come on, bro. Like, there's kids that are in the league. There are guys that are in the league now who were children when LeBron James started playing basketball. Like, literally being born. And he's still here in the league, averaging 20 plus points a game, bro. And to get to 40,000 points, like he's surpassed Wilt Chamberlain, who we talked about earlier, who had scored 100 points in a game. And he already passed him in points, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as well, right? He passed both of them, who those two players played at a time where the post dominated and you really were only scoring, 2-pointers at that time. You know what I'm saying? And they scored over 35,000 points, right? 35, 36, 37,000 points. And that's crazy to even fathom as well. So that's why I can see it. A lot of people would have either Kareem or Wilt on your Mount Rushmore, because like these guys were in a time where people weren't shooting 33s a game. Like they don't do that. They didn't do that back then. You know what I'm saying? It was a more physical game. So for LeBron to surpass them, people don't realize that for you to get to 40,000 points and not play 82 games a season, even if you play 82 games a season, if you play every game, like you got to average over 25 points a game, bro. And there's not too many people in the league right now that's averaging over 25 points a game, dog. Like it's like people be like, yeah, I can go to the MLB. The average person cannot hit a baseball going almost 100 miles per hour 3 out of 10 times. And that's why these guys are professionals, is because they can, if somebody's batting 300, that means they're hitting the ball at least 3 times out of 10 times. A white small ball going over sometimes 100 miles per hour. And LeBron James getting into the NBA, averaging over 25 at 18 years old, like that's crazy, bro. Now, some people may knock the fact that, of course, in these last few years, he hasn't played a full season. In the last 3-4 years, he's played 55 games, 52 to 55 games, which I could totally understand, right? Number one, you're older. You're 38 years old, 39 years old. You're not going to play 82 games anymore. You're not going to give all those minutes that you used to when you were young. But he still got it, though. He has been able to evolve his game to not only shoot better. He shoots better from the three, for sure. He ended up fixing his shot, right? He always had the post game, always able to get to his spots on the court, and also undoubtedly was able to get to the rack at any time he wanted to. But now you add the knowledge of the game and just seeing so much basketball, especially playoff basketball, it's like he's a robot out there. Doc Rivers even said, he was like, listen, his IQ was just off the charts. He's able to recall defenses and tell the other team while you're on the court what they're about to do. And then you still can't stop him. Like that's on some Larry Bird type shit. Like Larry Bird used to be like, I'm going to take the ball out, right? I'm going to get the ball. I'm going to go behind the 3-point line over here. I'm going to shoot it in your face. I'm going to make it. And there's nothing you can do about it. And you used to go do it. And LeBron is at that level to where like he can literally walk out there. Hey, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to get the ball. He going to set this pick. I'm going to come around. I'm going to hit you with a blah, blah. And then I'm going to score on you. And there's nothing you can do about it. And that's at the age of 38. Like not too many people even making it to the age of 38 in the league. But he's at 38 and still playing with young guys and making it look like it's nothing, which is not, especially to a GOAT like LeBron. He is definitely a GOAT. So that's the reason why he's my number 2 or the second guy on my list, right? And I'm not a fan. I'm not like a huge fan of LeBron, but I respect the greatness. It's just like when I watch Tom Brady, people can say whatever they want to say. Hey, I'm not the biggest fan myself either, but he's the GOAT. He's a GOAT, man. He's one of the greatest that you'll ever see. And you're probably going to look back once LeBron does decide to retire. That's when people are probably going to give him his flowers. Like, they give him his flowers now with the points and all that stuff like that. Yeah, because he's breaking records and so forth. But when it's all said and done, we're going to look back and be like, damn, LeBron was something special, bruh. And that he is. He's still something special, and he's doing it right now, man. And I can't wait to see when he retires. And I'm going to try to get me a ticket because I never seen him play in real life. Like I've always seen him play on TV. And it's just crazy, crazy to see, man. I wanna see something before he goes. So I'm gonna definitely, hopefully he doesn't retire sooner than these next 2 years. Hopefully he gives us another 2 years or so, 2-3 years, and I can catch a game and see the greatness in person, man, because It's going to be a good one. Once he does retire and hang up the shoes, I can only imagine what he's going to transition into. Like, I can't even see him not playing basketball, right? But someday it has to come to an end. Michael Jordan played till he's 40, so we'll see what LeBron wants to do, man. And that leads me into my next person, because this guy, he's compared to him, and people try to say that, some people say that he's better than him. Some people say that he's not better than him, right? But that's not for me to say. That's for other people to judge. And eventually, it's never really going to be that's definitely the greatest of all time, because it's different strokes for different folks. You know what I'm saying? So I can't necessarily say that he's better than him. In some ways he may be, but some ways he's definitely not. And this guy, I think, probably is the greatest of all time. But that's up for argument, and that's why we're having this discussion today. And the next guy I got is the one and only Michael Jeffrey Jordan. Yeah, and you already know who this guy is, you know what I'm saying? And you already know what package he coming with. He was drafted 1984, third overall out of the UNC Tar and Heels. Out of UNC, baby. Hall of Famer, of course. You know what I'm saying? Like, there wasn't no question if he's going to be a Hall of Famer or not. It was just when he was going to retire for real, and when they was going to let him start counting that clock for him to get inducted, which he did in 2009. Average for the career. This is crazy. And this is probably why he's the GOAT. My man averaged 30.1 points for his career, bruh. And this is why I have the argument for LeBron. Jordan averaged 30 points for his career and still is not number one on the all-time scoring list. Let that sink in for a second. Like, he averaged 30 points a game for his career and still doesn't have 40,000 points. But yeah, I'm going to just leave that there. So he averaged 30, 6.2 rebounds, 5.5 assists, shot damn near 50% from the field goal, which is 49.7, and shot over 83% from the free throw, right? Here are the accolades. 6-time champ, we all know that. Had the 2 3-peats from 91 to 93, 97, 98, right? 6-time MVP of the finals, you feel me? During those 3-peats, of course, he was the guy. He was the MVP. 5-time NBA MVP in 88, 91, 92, 96, and 98. Defensive Player of the Year, 1987 and 88. NBA Rookie of the Year from 84, of course, when he was drafted, 85, the 84-85 season. 10-time NBA scoring leader from 87 to 93, and then 97 to 98 when he came back from his first retirement. 3-time NBA steals leader in 88, 90, and 93. 14-time All-Star from 85, 93, then 96 to 98, and in 2002 and 2003, which is kind of crazy because those were his Wizard years. And we all know, that was kind of a shell of Michael Jordan, but he still was Michael at that time. 3-time All-Star MVP, game MVP winner in 88, 96, and 98. 10-time All-First NBA team from 87, 93, and then 96 to 98. 1-time second team, that was in 85. And then he was a 9-time All-Defensive First Team, 88 to 93, and then 96 to 98. He was on the All-Rookie First Team. 2-time dunk contest winner, 2-time IBM award winner, which means that his statistical contribution to the team, right, when it comes to win percentage. So your contribution to your team allows you to win, and he had the highest percentage, giving him that award 2 times. He's named one of the 50 greatest players of all time in 1996, selected on the 75th anniversary team, of course, in 2021. And then this is an interesting fact that I didn't know, but not only is his jersey retired by the Bulls, but his jersey is also retired by my favorite team, the Miami Heat. I thought that was very interesting. And the reason why that is retired by the Miami Heat is because Pat Riley, out of respect, said that the contributions that he had to the game allowed them to retire that number, right? Like nobody should wear that because Michael Jordan was just that damn good. So for another team that you never played for, never had any affiliation, retire your jersey, bro, you doing it big, my boy. You doing it real big. So that was something, an interesting fact that when I found that, I'm like, the Miami Heat, we retired it. Why would we retire number 23? But it makes sense though, because he is the GOAT. And that's another argument, you know what I'm saying, that people make. Like, hey, how you gonna put LeBron over Michael Jordan? Me personally, I don't put LeBron over Michael Jordan, but LeBron is definitely in the conversation as being a GOAT because I feel like Michael Jordan at his time, definitely, number one, he saved the NBA. You know what I'm saying? Like, NBA was damn near to shits at the time that he came into the NBA, and they needed somebody like Jordan to revive that motherfucker. And he did that. He brought the NBA back to what it is, brought money back into the NBA so that players can live and feed their family and make it entertaining again, right? If it wasn't for Michael Jordan, we don't know where the NBA would be. The NBA might not even be the NBA, but it is because Michael Jeffrey Jordan. You feel me? So with that being said, I would never put anybody over Michael Jordan. And like I said, with my two eyes, he checks all the boxes, bro. Like Michael, the killer instinct that we talked about earlier, he had that. You wasn't going to break Michael mentally. And if anybody was going to be broken mentally, it would be you, the defender. You're not going to do anything to phase this guy. Like when he was locked in and when Michael said, give me the ball, bruh, give me the ball. Let me do what I do. You feel me? Like ain't no stopping that shit. So Michael, he's my number one GOAT. You feel me? Close third, maybe 2A, 2B type situation is LeBron James. You feel me? And that's all I got to say about that. No, but also accolade-wise, he was the NBA MVP, and what they did once he retired, they renamed the MVP in his name. So ain't no way you can't say that Michael Jordan is not the greatest of all time in the NBA if the fucking NBA MVP trophy is named after the guy. Like, it's not the Pete Maravich trophy. It's not the LeBron James trophy. Well, he hasn't retired yet, but it's not the LeBron James trophy. And that's probably not going to happen ever. I don't think any trophies are going to be named after LeBron after he leaves. But he's definitely going to have a couple statues somewhere, for sure. But if your name is on the MVP award and you only won it a few times, like you only won it 5 times. You know what I'm saying? Like, which is a lot. I'm pretty sure that probably... if I look back, it's probably the most ever, right? Somebody winning the MVP 5 times. But for them to name the trophy after you, that shows the amount of impact that you had on the game. And that's one of the things that I looked at when I tried to make this list. I tried to look at players that made an impact to the game, right? Shaq, like I said, he changed the way people had to defend the post. They created the Hack-a-Shaq for a reason, bro, because he was unstoppable. Like, you weren't going to stop him once he got the ball in his hands. And the only thing you could do to even potentially try to slow him down is to put him at the free throw line. But Shaq always said that he made free throws when necessary. So in those clutch moments, even though you may put him on the free throw line, Shaq was going to give you those buckets. And then going back to LeBron, I put him in that category because it's like he's another one that changed the game, bro. When he came into the league at 18 years old, dog. 18 years old. Just think about that. Think about back when you were 18 years old. I know when I was 18 years old, I definitely would not think that I would be mentally ready to play in a professional sport with men who are 30 plus years old, bro. You know what I'm saying? So he came into the game and not only was able to keep composure and surround himself with the right type of people, but you know, you never heard anything negative about LeBron, no type of tarnishes on his name, and he has done nothing but good and continue to give to the game as well as give back to the communities in which he came from, including Cleveland, right? So I just admire him from afar because I'm like, yo, that is great. That exudes greatness. If anything exudes greatness, man, is the ability to be young and put a whole city or state on your back at a young age, take that weight and just do what you do, right? Go out and perform, go out and be the best that you can be. And LeBron did that. He, from a young age, came in at 18 years old, dunking on people's head, bruh. At 18 years old, jumping out of the building, kept his head on straight, and also kept the focus and was able to keep the focus on where he was from and where he had been, and developed himself into a man, right? He went from a boy to a man and kept his composure and kept the right people. Like, a lot of people would have took the money that he got at such a young age and just blew it, man. And to see the longevity is one of the reasons why LeBron has definitely got to be in my Mount Rushmore, man. To do it for 20 plus years and to still continue to do it at a high level. Like, there's a lot of guys that were in the NBA for, 15, 16, 17, 18 years. And by that 18 year, they're sitting on the bench. You feel me? They're coming off the bench. They're going to get some minutes and stuff like that, but they're more so there for leadership and veteran experience to teach the younger guys on how to do. But LeBron is in his 20th season, maybe even his 21st. It's either his 20th or his 21st season, and he's still starting, number one, still giving you buckets on a night-to-night basis, even though he may only play 60 games a year, right? That's more so to keep gas in the tank. Game management. Nowadays, they have that type of stuff, right? They manage you in order to keep you fresh because they know they're going to need their star players come playoff time. So I think the reason why he's only playing those 55 games for the last 3, 4, 5 seasons, especially with the Lakers, is because of that. They want to keep him fresh. Let Anthony Davis, haul the truck per se, right? Like, pull the trailer until we can get to the playoffs, and then LeBron's going to be LeBron. That's the reason why they won the championship in 2020. That's exactly what they did. Even though it was in a unusual circumstance, being in the bubble, LeBron was LeBron in 2020. So LeBron James, second guy on that list. Third guy on that list is Michael Jeffrey Jordan. And we all know why he's there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I already talked about it, but there's no need to even have that argument. Michael Jeffrey Jordan should definitely be in the top 1, if not 2 people of all times in the NBA, right? Greatest players of all time. And the biggest argument that people have is this person I'm going to name next as to who's number 1 or number 2. And that is the late, great Kobe Bryant, man. Rest in peace to the Mamba and his daughter. But Kobe Bryant was that fucking guy, man. Drafted 97, 13th overall to the Lakers. Played his whole career with the Lakers. You feel me? And what's so crazy is that some people forget about this, but he actually was drafted by the Hornets. So the Hornets traded for Vlade Divac, and Vlade Divac went to the Hornets, and the Lakers took the 13th overall pick from the Hornets. So the Hornets actually made the draft pick, but it was actually the Lakers who were controlling that pick. So they told them, like, hey, this is who we want to draft. And they actually didn't even tell them until minutes before they drafted Kobe Bryant. So they drafted him 13th overall, the Hornets did, and he was then an actual Laker at that moment once the trade finalized for Vlade Divac. So we jump into his average for the careers, right? He had averaged 25 points for the career, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 5-time champion, 3 of those being with Shaq from 2000 to 2002, and 2 of those being without the Diesel. In 2009, he went back-to-back in 2009 and 2010. 7-time NBA final appearances, in 2000 and 2002 with the Shaq Diesel. In 2004, he went and ended up losing to the Detroit Pistons, and then went back in 2008. When they went in 2008, they ended up losing to Boston. And then in 2009 and 2010 is when they had the back-to-back. Now, he's a 2-time NBA finalist, and you know why he's the reason why he's a 2-time NBA finalist MVP, and that's because Shaq Diesel won it in those 2000 to 2002. NBA MVP only 1 time, which is very shocking to me, and that was in 2008. He's a 2-time scoring champ in 2006 and 2007. 18-time All-Star, baby. 18 times now. Only one other person can say that they have more All-Star selections, and that's LeBron, right? He's got 18-time All-Star All-Star selections from, it was in 98, and then from 2000 to 2016. So he had 18 consecutive selections and 13 consecutive appearances, because he had no All-Star appearance in 99 due to the lockout, and then he missed the 2010, 14, and 15 due to injury, even though he was selected. 4-time NBA All-Star MVP in 2002, 07, 09, and 2011. He shared the MVP with Shaq for the All-Star game in 2009. He's a 15-time All-NBA selection. First team was in 02, 03, 04, and then 06 through 2013. Second team All-NBA selection in 2000 to 2001. And then he had 2 third-team selections in 99 and 2005. He was a 12-time all-defensive team player, right? And first team, he had it in 2000, 03, 04, and 06, 07, 08, 09, 2010, and 2011. And then he had 3 selections on the second team in 2001, 2002, and 2012. Of course, he made the all-rookie team. He, too, was a slam dunk contest winner in 1997. He's a 17-time player of the month. NBA regular season leader, right? In games played, usage percentage, points per game, field goal attempted, field goals made. He's second most points scored in a game with 81, only behind Wilt Chamberlain with 100 points. Had the second most points in a half with 55. 55 points in a half, bro. That's crazy. Now I'm thinking, like, 55 points in a half, bro. That's wild. Third most 40-point games with 135 40-point games. Third most 50-point games with 26 50-point games. And then he's second most in 60-point games with 6. Like, he had 6 60-point games, bro, and 26 50-point games. This is wild. I'm reading this back. I was doing my research, and I'm like, these numbers are wild. But now that I'm reading them back, it's even wilder. I'm like, fucking 26 50-point games, bro. Like, some people don't even have one in their career, which is crazy. He's a 2-time best NBA player for the ESPY Awards in 2008 and 2010. And then it gets wild when it gets to the playoffs, right? He's the NBA playoff leader in win shares and points. He had that for 4 seasons. Points in a game, 3 seasons. Minutes played, 2 seasons. Field goals made in 4. Field goals attempted in 5. Free throws made in 4. Field goals attempted in 2 seasons. He had the most steals in 2 seasons. Turnovers, only 1 season. Had the most in the playoffs. Had the most personal fouls in 1 playoff game. And then he's the 4th all-time leading scorer. Once again, you have somebody who has scored over 130 plus 40-point games and still has not reached 40,000 points. This is a person who scored 81 points in a game, man. Like, just think about that. 81 points in a game, bro, where people know you are getting the ball. Jalen Rose has said this publicly before. He's like, I still am haunted by the fact that I got scored 81 on. Kobe snapped that game. Like, you talk about being in the zone. You talk about killer instinct, bruh. In order for you to score 81 points, bruh, like, you got to have a killer instinct. Like, you going out there like, yo, I've never heard anybody say, I'm going to go out there, I'm about to score 80 points on you, bruh. 80 points, dog. Like, that's fucking ridiculous, man. 80 points. And then to have a game where you scored 55 points in a half, bruh. Like, that's just crazy to me. Because back then, right, number one, Kobe grew into the player that he was. When he first came into the league, another straight out of high school product. You know what I'm saying? Straight out of high school. He honestly was good, but he could have been better. You can tell that he was young. And you also had people on the team who probably weren't letting him be who he needed to be. You know what I'm saying? You had That's when they still had Eddie Jones. They still had Van Axel. You know what I'm saying? These are veteran guys that were doing their thug thizzle at the time. And it's like, hey, young boy, you know what I mean? Like, you good and all, but like you not really where you need to be. So a lot of things transpired in between that time when he came into the league. Number one, you know, they had a totally different coach. They got that coach out of there. And once they traded, right, they traded away Vlade Divac to get that pick to bring him in. But they did that all to set up to get Shaq, right? They got Vlade Divac out of there. They brought Shaq in maybe a year or so later. Once they brought Shaq in, it's like, okay, big man is here. Now we got to start figuring out how to change the dynamic as to what we want to be as a team. Once they did that, they got rid of Van Axel, shipped him off to Denver, got rid of Eddie Jones, sent him off to Miami. And now we bring in pieces that are going to fit around both Kobe and Shaq. Exclusively Shaq at that time. Like, Kobe was still being Kobe, but it was still kind of Shaq's team. And that's what kind of led to their breakup there. It was because, once again, egos are involved. Kobe felt like, okay, you need to kind of like give me the reins a little bit more. Shaq is like, nah, little fella, I'm big fella. And, you know, you get Shaq the ball, I'm going to dunk it. You feel me? And they had a little rift there, you know what I'm saying? But I think that fire in both of those, also including the coaching of Phil Jackson, because Phil Jackson had to be able to mold these personalities to be able to fit together, right? So to have these two very competitive gladiators able to, you know, bring them into a system to where it works for both of them, because the triangle honestly is really for one guy, and it was designed for Michael Jordan, right? So you need a Michael Jordan type player, thus you have Kobe. So it's really designed for one player, but it allows to keep the spacing on the floor. So if you have a dominant post player, you're able to get him the ball and let him do what he does, right? And when I compare somebody to the GOAT, Michael Jordan, Kobe's gotta be he's gotta be number 2, bruh. If not 1A, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's gotta be that guy, because when I look at the style of play and when I look at the type of player that Kobe was, you can't tell me that you don't see the likes of Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, bruh. And I think that they're so alike. That's the reason why they may not have got along, right? Like, if they were on the same team together, I'm sure these two probably would have clashed a lot, because there are stories that new players come to the team where they may have felt like they were the star on the other team. Kobe's like, nah, I'm the big fish in this pond over here. You feel me? Like, we gonna just play one-on-one. Let's play one-on-one after practice. Like, no. I'm gonna show you that you can come here, but you're gonna have to sit back, my friend, because this is the Kobe show. You feel me? And Michael Jordan was the same way. Like, this is the Michael Jordan show. I need a couple of sidekicks to help me with a couple of tricks that I need. You know what I'm saying? Because I can't do this by myself. And sit back and watch the show. So I think Michael, if I had to put any order right on the greatest of all time, I'm gonna put Michael, Kobe, LeBron, and then in this course of Mount Rushmore, Shaq is going to be number 4. But all 4 of these guys were just dominant, and you can argue, you know what I'm saying? Like, you could put anybody else in there that you may have seen with your own 2 eyes, but with my own 2 eyes, these 4 guys were just unbelievable, man, and they did a lot of things that most people can't do. I'm sorry. I was sad when Kobe died, and I'm just like, bro, we didn't even get to experience the Kobe outside of basketball, bro. So, like, we're going to remember him as he is, which is great, because he went out on top. Like, he went out with us experiencing all of these great memories that he gave us on the basketball court. But it's like, what else was Kobe Bryant? You feel me? Like, that's definitely a conversation for another day. But I think that anybody can be on this list of 4, but it's going to be very hard to top the 4 that I have here. But I do want to hear what you guys have. So as I said earlier in the podcast when I first got on, leave a comment, write to me. I write back. IG, Takeakneesportspodcast. Also Twitter, Takeakneesportspodcast as well. And so that's all I have for this week's episode of Takeakneesportspodcast. As I stated in the beginning of the podcast, I want to hear from the fans. I want to hear your feedback so I can get better. This is my first time ever recording a podcast, and I'm trying to get back into the groove, and I want to be the best podcast there is for my listeners. So all I want to do is hear